Hey there! I'm really glad you're joining me today because we're about to talk about something that can seriously change the way you live your life. We're diving into Your Brain on Porn by Gary Wilson. And trust me, the insights here go way beyond just breaking a habit. In the next few minutes, we'll break down how the brain works, why certain habits are so tough to kick, and, most importantly, how you can use this knowledge to make real, positive changes in your life. This is all about taking control, whether it's your focus, your energy, or even your wallet. We're not going to get too technical or overcomplicate things, just practical, real-world advice you can start using right away. By the end of this, you'll have a solid understanding of how to break free from what's holding you back and actually build the kind of life you want. So, let's start with the basics. What's really happening in your brain when you indulge in something like porn? Gary Wilson explains it brilliantly. It's all about dopamine. You know, that little chemical in your brain that makes you feel good? Every time you watch something stimulating, especially something as visually and emotionally intense as pornography, your brain gets a hit of dopamine. It feels great at first, but here's the kicker. Your brain starts craving more and more of it. And this isn't just about porn. It's about any kind of compulsive behavior. Social media, gaming, junk food, you name it. Over time, your brain's reward system gets hijacked, and suddenly, the things that used to bring you joy, like hobbies, relationships, or even work, seem dull in comparison. The cycle of seeking out more stimulation begins, and that can seriously mess with your satisfaction, motivation, and here's a little exercise to try. For the next few days, keep track of your triggers. Notice when you feel the urge to watch something or scroll mindlessly. Write it down. No judgment, just awareness. This step alone can help you break the autopilot mode that keeps you stuck in unhealthy patterns. All right. That's a solid start. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into how these habits actually reshape your brain, and, more importantly, how you can rewire it for success. Let's make sure your brain works for you, not against you. So, as we were saying, awareness is the first step. But here's the thing. Awareness alone isn't enough. Once you start noticing those triggers and patterns, you've got to take action. This is where Gary Wilson introduces the idea of rewiring your brain. Think of your brain like a trail through a forest. Every time you engage in a habit, it's like walking down. Why does this matter? Think about your life for a second. Imagine you're working on a project, trying to build a business, or even just striving to be your best self. If your brain is constantly seeking quick hits of pleasure, it becomes so much harder to focus on the long-term goals that actually lead to success. And this isn't just theory. Gary backs it up with science. So, what's the takeaway here? Well, the first step is awareness. Start paying attention to what you're feeding your brain. Ask yourself, are you relying on quick fixes to feel good? Or are you investing in habits that bring long-term satisfaction? Here's a little exercise to try. For the next few days, keep track of your triggers. Notice when you feel the urge to watch something or scroll mindlessly. Write it down. No judgment, just awareness. This step alone can help you break the autopilot mode that keeps you stuck in unhealthy patterns. All right, that's a solid start. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into how these habits actually reshape your brain, and, more importantly, how you can rewire it for success. Let's make sure your brain works for you, not against you. So, as we were saying, awareness is the first step. But here's the thing. Awareness alone isn't enough. Once you start noticing those triggers and patterns, you've got to take action. This is where Gary Wilson introduces the idea of rewiring your brain. Think of your brain like a trail through a forest. Every time you engage in a habit, It's like walking down that same trail. The more you walk it, the more defined and easy to follow it becomes. That's why bad habits feel so automatic. They're well-worn paths. But here's the good news. You can forge new trails. It takes effort at first, but over time, those old paths fade, and the new ones become stronger. So, how do you start? The first step is to recognize what you're replacing that old habit with. You can't just stop cold turkey and hope for the best. Your brain doesn't work like that. Instead, you need to replace the behavior with something positive and rewarding. For instance, let's say you've identified that you watch porn when you're stressed or bored. Ask yourself, what else could you do in those moments? Maybe it's going for a walk, hitting the gym, or diving into a creative project. The key is to choose something that feels good, but also moves you closer to your goals. Here's a practical example. I know someone who replaced their evening binge sessions with learning a new skill. They picked up coding, not because they wanted to become a developer, but because it was something challenging and engaging. Fast forward a year, and they'd not only kicked the habit, but also landed a better job thanks to their new skills. That's the kind of win-win we're talking about here. Another crucial point Gary makes is about patience. Rewiring your brain isn't an overnight process. It takes consistency. You might slip up along the way, and that's okay. The important thing is to keep going. Think of it like planting a garden. You're not going to see blooms the next day, but with care and persistence, the results will come. And here's where I want to tie this back to making your life better and even earning more money. When you free up your brain from constant dopamine overload, you create space for clarity and focus. Those are your superpowers. Whether it's building a business, excelling in your career, or simply improving your relationships, a focused mind is your greatest asset. All right, let's pause here for a moment to reflect. What could you start doing today to replace those old habits with something more constructive? Think small. Maybe it's as simple as reading a book, calling a friend, or learning something new. Next, we're going to explore the deeper emotional side of all this, the role that shame, guilt, and self-worth play in the cycle, and how to break free from it for good. Now, let's talk about the emotional side of this equation because breaking free isn't just about changing behaviors. It's also about healing the underlying feelings that keep you stuck. Gary Wilson dives deep into this in your brain on porn, and it's such an important part of the journey. Here's the thing. When you're caught in a cycle of compulsive behavior, it's easy to feel shame and guilt. You might think, why can't I control this? What's wrong with me? But let me tell you something crucial. There's nothing inherently wrong with you. Your brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do: seek pleasure and avoid pain. The problem is that modern life has hacked that system with things like endless online content, making it harder to maintain balance. So, instead of beating yourself up, let's reframe this. Recognize that this isn't a moral failing. It's a biological challenge. And like any challenge, it can be overcome with the right strategies and mindset. One powerful tool for dealing with shame and guilt is self-compassion. I know, it might sound a bit soft, but hear me out. Self-compassion doesn't mean giving yourself a free pass to stay stuck. It means treating yourself like you would a close friend, someone you care about deeply. If a friend came to you feeling overwhelmed or defeated, you wouldn't criticize them, right? You'd encourage them, remind them of their strengths, and help them find a way forward. You deserve that same kindness. Another piece of the puzzle is understanding the role of self-worth. Many people turn to unhealthy habits as a way to cope with feelings of inadequacy or stress. But here's the thing. Your worth isn't tied to your habits, your past, or even your current circumstances. You are inherently valuable, and when you start to truly believe that, everything changes. How does this tie into making a better life and earning more? Well, when you let go of shame and start seeing yourself as capable and worthy, you unlock a level of confidence and resilience that's essential for success. Think about it. If you're no longer weighed down by guilt or self-doubt, you can take bigger risks, pursue opportunities with courage, and show up as the best version of yourself. Here's a quick exercise to try. Each morning, spend a few minutes writing down 3 things you're proud of or grateful for. They don't have to be big. Maybe you showed kindness to someone, tackled a tough task, or simply got through the day. This practice trains your brain to focus on your strengths rather than your shortcomings. All right, now that we've laid the emotional groundwork, it's time to shift gears. In the next section, we'll dive into the science of neuroplasticity, how your brain can actually change and grow, and how to use that to build the habits and mindset that will set you up for long-term success. So, we've laid the foundation, recognizing the role of shame, guilt, and self-worth in breaking free from bad habits. Now, let's talk about one of the most exciting aspects of this journey: neuroplasticity. This is where the magic happens. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to change and adapt throughout your life. Think of your brain as a muscle. Just like you can strengthen your body with regular exercise, you can reshape your brain by consistently practicing new habits and ways of thinking. Gary Wilson emphasizes this point in Your Brain on Porn. Your brain is not fixed. If you've spent years stuck in a certain pattern, it doesn't mean you're doomed. You can change. Here's how it works. Every time you engage in a new behavior or thought pattern, you're creating new neural pathways. The more you use these pathways, the stronger they become. On the flip side, when you stop using old pathways, like the ones tied to compulsive behaviors, they begin to weaken. This is why consistency is so important. Every choice you make, no matter how small, is a step toward rewiring your brain. Let's connect this to real-life actions. Say you want to replace an unproductive habit with something that benefits you. Start small. Maybe instead of reaching for your phone when you're bored, you pick up a book, stretch, or journal your thoughts. The key is to repeat this new behavior consistently. At first, it might feel awkward or forced, but that's normal. Over time, it becomes second nature. Another powerful tool for rewiring your brain is visualization. This isn't some woo-woo concept. It's backed by science. When you vividly imagine yourself succeeding, whether it's breaking a habit, achieving a goal, or building a skill, you're activating the same neural circuits as if you were actually doing it. So spend a few minutes each day picturing the life you want to create. See yourself as focused, disciplined, and thriving. And here's a pro tip. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Each time you make a choice that aligns with your goals, acknowledge it. Maybe it's a mental well done, or even a little reward. This reinforces the new behavior and makes it more likely you'll stick with it. Now, let's tie this back to making money and improving your life. When you harness the power of neuroplasticity, you're not just breaking free from bad habits. You're also building the skills and mindset needed for success. Think about how much more productive, creative, and confident you could be if you weren't bogged down by distractions or self-doubt. That's the real payoff. All right, we're making great progress. In the next part, we'll explore how to create an environment that supports your growth and keeps you on track. Your surroundings play a huge role in shaping your habits, and I've got some practical tips to share. All right, now that we've covered how to rewire your brain, let's talk about setting yourself up for success by designing an environment that works with you, not against you. This is a game changer. Here's the thing. Your environment plays a huge role in shaping your habits. Think about it. When you're surrounded by temptations It's like trying to climb a mountain with a heavy backpack. But if you create an environment that aligns with your goals, you're giving yourself a massive advantage. Gary Wilson emphasizes that making positive changes often starts with removing triggers. If you're trying to break free from habits tied to compulsive behaviors, you need to identify what sets those behaviors in motion. For example, if certain websites, apps, or even idle moments trigger unhealthy patterns, it's time to take control. Use tools like website blockers or set up dedicated times when your devices are off limits. It's not about avoiding technology entirely. It's about using it intentionally. Another practical tip is to fill your space with things that inspire and motivate you. Surround yourself with books, reminders of your goals, or tools for hobbies you want to develop. When your environment nudges you toward constructive activities, it's much easier to stay on track. Think about this. If you're working toward financial independence, wouldn't it make sense to keep resources like budgeting tools or investment guides within reach? These small shifts make a big difference. Now, let's talk about the people around you. Your social circle is a huge part of your environment. If you're constantly around people who reinforce negative habits or dismiss your goals, it's going to be harder to grow. I'm not saying you need to cut everyone out of your life, but it's worth considering who uplifts you and who holds you back. Find communities, online or offline, that share your values and aspirations. These connections can be incredibly motivating. Here's a quick exercise for you. Take a moment to assess your current environment. What's one thing you can remove that's a distraction or trigger? And what's one thing you can add to make your space more aligned with your goals? Start small. It could be as simple as keeping a journal on your desk or removing a shortcut to a distracting app from your phone. Now, here's where this ties into building a better life and earning more. When your environment supports your goals, you're not wasting mental energy fighting against distractions. That means more focus, more productivity, and more room for creativity, all of which are essential for personal and financial success. Imagine channeling that energy into building a side hustle, learning a new skill, or excelling in your career. The possibilities are endless. We've come a long way so far, but there's still more to explore. In the next section, we'll dive into the importance of having a vision for your life and how to stay motivated when the journey gets tough. Now that you've started shaping your environment for success, let's talk about the bigger picture. Your vision for your life. Because here's the thing. Without a clear vision, it's easy to lose motivation. You need to know why you're doing this, what you're working toward, and who you want to become. Gary Wilson touches on this indirectly when he talks about the freedom and fulfillment that come from breaking free of unhealthy patterns. Imagine what your life could look like without the constant pull of distractions, guilt, or frustration. Picture yourself thriving, focused, confident, and fully engaged in the things that truly matter to you. Here's a simple but powerful exercise. Write down your why. Why do you want to make these changes? Maybe it's to improve your relationships, to have more energy and focus, or to achieve financial freedom. Get as specific as you can. For example, instead of saying, "I want to make more money," you might write, "I want to build a successful side hustle that earns $5,000 a month so I can travel and support my family." The clearer your vision, the more motivated you'll be. Now, let's talk about staying motivated because, let's be real, change isn't easy. There will be days when you feel like giving up. That's normal. The trick is to prepare for those moments in advance. One way to do that is by setting up systems to keep yourself accountable. For instance, share your goals with a trusted friend, or join a group of like-minded people. When you know someone else is rooting for you, or even just checking in, it's easier to stay on track. You can also track your progress in a journal or app. Seeing how far you've come, even in small steps, can be incredibly encouraging. Another tip is to celebrate milestones along the way. When you hit a goal, no matter how small, take a moment to acknowledge it. Maybe it's treating yourself to something nice or simply reflecting on your progress. Celebrations aren't just fun. They reinforce the new pathways you're building in your brain. Let's tie this back to earning money and improving your life. When you have a clear vision and stay motivated, you're positioning yourself for long-term success. You're not just breaking bad habits. You're building the discipline and resilience that every successful person needs. Whether it's starting a business, climbing the career ladder, or achieving personal growth, these same principles apply. So, as we move into the final part of this journey, I want you to think about the bigger picture. Who do you want to become? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? In the next section, we'll wrap this all up with some actionable strategies to maintain your progress and create a life you're proud of. So, now that you've built a strong foundation, awareness, rewiring your brain, creating a supportive environment, and crafting a clear vision, it's time to focus on maintaining your progress and turning these changes into a permanent part of your life. One of the most powerful concepts Gary Wilson highlights is momentum. When you've started to see progress, it creates a positive feedback loop. You feel better, you're more focused, and your confidence grows. The trick is to keep that momentum alive, even when life throws challenges your way. A key strategy here is building systems, not just relying on willpower. Willpower is a limited resource. It gets depleted throughout the day. But systems are like guardrails. They keep you on track without requiring constant effort. For example, if your goal is to avoid distractions, set up a daily routine that prioritizes your most important tasks. Block out time for deep work, exercise, and personal growth. These routines become habits that run on autopilot, freeing up your mental energy for bigger decisions. Another essential part of maintaining progress is reflection. Regularly take time to review your goals and evaluate what's working and what's not. Ask yourself, what habits are serving me? What needs to be adjusted? This isn't about being overly critical. It's about staying adaptable and focused on the long game. And let's talk about setbacks because they're inevitable. Maybe you slip up, fall back into an old habit, or feel like you've lost your way. Here's the truth. Setbacks aren't failures. They're opportunities to learn and grow. When you approach them with curiosity instead of judgment, you'll bounce back faster and stronger. Remember, progress isn't about being perfect. It's about consistently moving forward, even if it's just one step at a time. Now, let's tie this all together. You've taken the first steps to free your brain from the grip of compulsive behaviors. You've started creating a life that's more intentional, productive, and fulfilling. And with that clarity and focus, you've opened the door to opportunities, whether it's excelling in your career, building a business, or simply having the energy and confidence to pursue your passions. But the real reward isn't just what you achieve. It's who you become in the process. You're rewiring your brain, not just to break free from old habits, but to create a version of yourself that's unstoppable. Imagine looking back a year from now, proud of how far you've come and excited about the road ahead. That's the power of everything we've talked about here. So, what's your next step? Maybe it's writing down your goals, removing a distraction, or reaching out to someone who inspires you. Whatever it is, take action today. Small steps lead to big changes, and you've already started. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Remember, you have everything you need to create the life you deserve. Now go out there and make it happen. You've got this. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing audiobook.